Thank you. Senator Gillibrand.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. The other committee that I have a leadership role on is the Senate Aging Committee. And you know how important housing is to our older Americans. Seniors are the fastest growing age group among people experiencing homelessness. Over 41,000 seniors age 65 and older experienced homelessness at the time of the 2024 point-in-time count, and that number could triple by the year 2030. The budget, however, cuts HUD homeless assistance by 13%, and you propose strict time limits even for seniors. These are people with fixed incomes, can't work, face very increasing healthcare costs and challenges, and need wraparound services to stay housed. So, Mr. Secretary, under your proposal, what happens to the seniors currently being served in permanent supportive housing, and what's your ambition with regard to addressing homelessness amongst our older Americans?
Thank you, Senator Gillibrand. I appreciate our conversation yesterday. And as you will note in the budget, the language in the budget prioritizes our seniors, our elderly and disabled, and our veterans. And so we are well aware of this. And at HUD, we will continue to prioritize our seniors. You know, you alluded to the homelessness in our country. And I want to make note for the committee, you know, with record funding from HUD, HUD's budget over the last 8 years went from approximately $42 billion to $77 billion. And yet homelessness is at an all-time high, went up 18% last year with over 770,000 people homeless at one single night in January of 2024. And when I look at this, obviously with this type of funding and with the role that we do have, that's unacceptable. As you know, I was just in New York City, visiting New York City and NYCHA, the public housing authority there, which has many problems as it pertains to stewardship, as it pertains to fraud and abuse, and authorities there, leadership there, being indicted. And, you know, homelessness, we've made it very hard for faith-based institutions to work with the government, to work with HUD in particular. And when I visit cities around our country and you see the faith-based institutions that are actually doing the work every day as it pertains to homelessness, we need to partner with these institutions, partner with the nonprofits that actually have data-driven results to decrease homelessness, to not only get people off the streets, but also to help people be transformed when you think about drug addiction, mental health, the restoration of the family, the faith. And so that's my approach to it, Senator, is to have a holistic approach and better stewardship, if you will, and to bring in these partnerships so that we can eradicate homelessness on our streets. But the budget language does prioritize our elderly and our disabled.
Thank you. And I would like to work with you on perhaps new legislative language about increasing the ability to do partnerships, faith-based partnerships. As I mentioned to you yesterday, there's a not-for-profit in the Bronx called the Fortune Society. And I would love you to tour that because they deal with formerly incarcerated men, which is a very critical population that are at risk for homelessness. Not only do they house them, they give them skills training, they give them mental health support, they give them any substance use disorder prevention that's necessary, and they holistically look at these individuals and say, how do we make sure that you get on your feet, that you have a great job and you can pay for your own housing, and what does it take to get you from the day you are released to the day you are self-sufficient? And I would love to work with you on legislation to accomplish those goals in whatever ways we can, because again, the failure of this country not to house Americans is painful, and we have to do a better job, and I'm open to all solutions, and I'd love to work with the chairwoman on that. The second issue that I raised with you that I wanted to raise for the committee is what do we do with all the buildings that are empty in cities like New York? There are so many commercial buildings that no one is going to work in anymore that are entirely unutilized. And I would like to work on legislation to provide conversions, to be able to create resources and also authorities so that we can make it easier to take empty buildings and transform them into critical housing needs. Now, the type of critical housing needs that I would make this eligible for is certainly for formerly homeless. I think we have to get out of the model that homeless people are going to shelters. They should be going to permanent housing with the transitional wraparound services like the Fortune Society offers for this one group of people, like some of the shelters offer for battered women and their children. So the kinds of services that get people on their feet so they can be self-sufficient. And there's going to be a lot of important things we need to look at to make conversions possible. And I also would like your commitment that you will work with me on that to get legislation written and supported to get the resources and the authorities to do that kind of work.
Yes, ma'am. I look forward to working with you on these two issues that you raised. Thank you.
Senator Schatz.
Thank you, Chair and Vice Chair, and thank you, Secretary. First of all, appreciate our team's working relationship as Maui continues.